And like I said, we have a test on Wednesday. We almost finished. When I come in for breast, I'm definitely going to be ready to go. So, Pat, you can get us. So, again, like I said, guys, I appreciate you guys reaching out to me yesterday. A lot of you guys, reached out in concern for me because, my favorite athlete passed away yesterday, tragically, him and his daughter and 7 other people. So it was a super sad day for me. I happened to be out in the store and I got a FaceTime from my aunt, and which was kind of weird because she doesn't FaceTime, I got the news out and about and, I cried in the store, guys. Like, I couldn't believe it because, I never met Kobe Bryant, but, when I talk about somebody that really influenced me as a person and, my mindset when I talk about, you guys know I talk about him all the time and having the Mamba mentality. He was a whole lecture feature for us on chapter 5 on intensity. So it's goes to show you how important somebody like that is to me, because I've never been affected by a celebrity death like I was yesterday. Even right now, it's still unbelievable. Even more shocking, like I said, that, he lost a daughter at the same time, So, with that being said, most important, I just want to, explain how much Kobe is to me. Big fan, guys. Big fan of not just the athlete, but as also the person. You know what I mean? Like, influenced me. I love basketball, but more importantly, him as a person, his mindset, his mentality, the way he attacks life, and giving 100%. And as you guys know, I always talk about giving 100%. I always want to give you my 100%. So, even though somebody has all these accolades, some like this, 5-time champion, just one of the greatest of all time. Most importantly, the dude loved his family. He's behind a wife and 3 other daughters. So it is tough, and it just made me think about like whenever somebody passed that's important to you, you always come back to like family, right? You always think about your family and how much at the end of the day, that's really all that matters, right? How much your family means to you. And I don't know, some of you guys follow me on social media, where you will know like I have a big sister on my dad's side, that I just kind of, I knew her since 2011, when I was like 27. But, I just kind of rekindled that flame with her. We went out to dinner the other day, and that's my big sister, Yolanda. You follow me on social media, you see this. I kind of live, if you ever follow me on social media, you'll know, or not follow me, but if you ever friend me on social media, you'll kind of get an inside scoop on, what I'm doing. But I always like to share that because I feel like, as an instructor sharing my personal experience with you guys, it makes us a lot closer as a whole, So I really wanted to share my stuff. And so it's good to get to, kind of get to know my sister. So my weekend was kind of, great, and then it was kind of let down at the end, you know what I mean? So, but definitely reminds me of family and, want to get back to, honing my relationship back with my family as well. Like my little sister right here, she graduated college in 2016, Texas A&M. And, since our mom passed, my little sister's kind of, did her own thing as most young 20-year-olds do, you know what I mean? But I'm going to try to bring her back in closer to us, you know what I mean? And, I just want to share with my family. This is my big sister, Crystal. Y'all always hear me talk about her, the pharmacist. And that's my baby sister, Antoinette. And, of course, this is us on my mom's birthday. My mom drinks Bush beer, so we got a Bush cake, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to share that. So, but of course, our Monday motivation, or motivation itself, comes from the great Kobe Bryant, you know what I mean? And I actually stole this from Pat's page this morning, actually, and I said it to myself. So, my motivation today is, I have nothing in common with lazy people who blame others for their lack of success. Great things comes from hard work and perseverance. No excuses, guys. No excuses. I really love this quote. And Kobe Bryant was like a walking quoting machine. Every time he said something, I was attentive. Like, I always listen to what he said. I listen to his podcast on the way to work almost every day called The Pumies. And this right here, just thinking about Kobe Bryant, he's like the epitome of somebody who had tremendous talent, but also didn't rest on their laurels. You know what I mean? He actually worked hard every single day to be the best. You know what I'm saying? So with you guys in here, you guys have a lot of talent in the room, you know, and I want you guys not to rest on your laurels either, you know, want to be the best every day. You know, I always talk about, you know, being the best, being the Michael Jordan. I always talk about that, and it's not in a way like I'm trying to be better than anybody else. It's just that you got to be your best self. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be the best version of myself that I can be, you know, and I want that for you guys as well. So, you know, hard work and perseverance, you know, don't make excuses, and of course, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. But that's my JT motivation, Monday motivation this week. All right, guys? So, I'm gonna kind of start. We were at the receiver. I'm gonna hit compression again because our second lecture is based on compression. Okay, it's pretty much based on compression. So, and you know, Mr. Seal wasn't here the other day, so it'll be good to tackle that again. So we're on the receiver, guys. You know, the first part, amplification, is gonna change all the signals, right? That's our receiver gain. It's gonna change every signal. You know, so that means the lower signal and the high signal, they're gonna be amplified to the same degree. Okay? It cannot make the image uniform from top to bottom. It does not improve the signal to noise ratio, because just like the signal is going to be amplified, the noise is also going to be amplified. Again, I showed you guys that button. That's going to be our receiver gain button right there. Okay. And remember, preamplification actually occurs in the transducer. That's the most important thing about that. It amplifies the signal before it goes to the receiver. Okay. Compensation. Remember, our receiver functions, our receiver order, they're all in alphabetical order. So amplification, compensation, compression, demodulation, reject. Okay? Remember those. Because when I tell you guys, this is one of the most important chapters again that you have to focus on this summer when it comes to the SPI. All right? So compensation again, it corrects for attenuation, guys. You know, at different depths, we know the sound beam as it travels deeper into the body, we're going to lose energy, we're going to lose intensity, we're going to lose amplitude, right? So the compensation keys are buttons, TGC, AGC, swept gain. They're compensating for the depth, the attenuation, okay, as we go deeper into the body. All right. And again, that is adjustable on image, guys. You know I don't like images like this. I want you to use your TGC to even that liver out. That liver should have an even echo texture throughout. Know the anatomy too, guys. I will say know the anatomy and these terms. This is my mini review in the middle of the lecture. Know the anatomy and those terms. Okay, so compression, guys. Again, want to tackle this again. Remember, there are two types of compression, right? Two forms of compression. Compression actually changes the grayscale characteristics, not only for the ability for the system to handle, but also for the human eye, because there's a limitation to both. Okay, and we'll get a little deeper into what compression it actually does in the system. Okay, but the synonymous terms for compression are going to be log compression and dynamic range. On our machine is compression, and also it is gray maps. Okay, so changing your gray maps is also changing compression. More specifically, you changing your compression function, or some machines actually have the word dynamic range. You're actually changing the grayscale of an image. Taking an image that's really, really gray, a wide dynamic range, right? Or taking an image that's really, really black and white, a narrow dynamic range. Okay, meaning less shades of gray. Okay, narrow, less shades of gray, wide, more shades of gray. Kind of like our bandwidth. We have a wide bandwidth, we're able to have a wider range of frequencies, right? A narrow bandwidth, there's going to be a narrow range of frequencies. Okay. So, again, there's two parts of compression. The first part of compression keeps the electrical signals within the accuracy of the system electronics. We're going to talk about why that's so coming up in our dynamic range chapter, because every component, as you guys know, has a different dynamic range. Okay, so we're going to kind of elaborate on that coming up shortly. But the second part of compression would be it keeps the grayscale in the range of the detection of the human eye. The human eye can only see about 20 shades of gray. So, you know, it has to keep that range where it's visible to us. Okay. And that's kind of how it works. Sorry about my picture quality, guys. I'm literally taking pictures from my phone, and again, that's a process of dynamic range, right? I'm taking a picture on my phone, it looks great on there. But when I send it to myself over via email, and then when I enlarge that picture, it's losing quality, right? So now my dynamic range is lessened every time I process that information. That's a good example of that. Well, on my phone, man, it's a beautiful picture. But when I put it up on the lecture, it's ugly, okay? Because it's losing quality, it's losing that range, that dynamic range. Okay. So, again, compression is an adjustable function. The first function within the system, that cannot be changed, that happens automatically, okay? But we can control the grayscale mapping on our machines. I showed you guys that the other day. And we can also control the compression itself on the IE22s. When you're working on the GE Logic, you're only going to be able to control that dynamic range, okay? And that's going to be in units of decibels. I actually have a video for that on my phone. I didn't get to put it up. I'll try to send it to you guys on Remind. Okay. Again, compression changes the grayscale characteristics. Again, units of decibels. So remember how decibels are a ratio, right, guys? It's a ratio of, remember it's a logarithm scale, a ratio of basically, you know, to the power of the 10. So we have, you know, a ratio of, you know, a 10-to-1 ratio, you know, or that's exactly what that's saying. It's basically going to be 10 decibels, right? Because whatever number comes in the front, so I have a ratio of 120, that's going to be, you know, 12 zeros was actually a trillion, right? A trillion to 1 ratio, okay? Or a trillion decibels. You guys got me? So however many, whatever the number in the beginning of the zero is, that's how many zeros you're going to add to the full number, okay? So just a little bit more about compression. Law compression, that's a synonym. Law compression, dynamic range. It's clinically important for the text to be able to see the differences in the weak reflections. It makes good contrast. Good contrast is really a subjective term. Like, what is good contrast, right? It depends on what you're looking at. Like, if I'm looking at something like the liver, and I really need to see, you know, the different shades of gray, then that contrast, I need that wide dynamic range, right? Because I need to be able to see as many shades of gray as I can to see the little small masses. Somebody was showing me an image the other day. I forgot who it was, but we were looking at the liver, and there happened to be hemangioma in the liver. You know, and as a student, you guys don't know the liver pathology that well yet, but you will, you know, when you become a senior. Pathology is going to be jumping out at you. I'm sure it has. So you've seen stuff that's, man, that's not how it should look, right? And so sometimes that pathology will kind of jump out at you. But, you know, and it was hemangioma. That's the most common liver mass, you know, you know what I mean? So, and it's just a little echogenic little mass, and, you know, it's benign, but still, you have to be able to recognize those things. So having good contrast, subjective good contrast, is important when we're talking about having, you know, or talking about compression. Just like if I'm looking at a blood vessel, I really want to be able to see the inside of that blood vessel. I want to make sure that it doesn't have any kind of plaque or, you know, anything kind of build up on the wall, you know. So in that case, I would really want a more narrow dynamic range. So I really want it to be black and white. Just like how I want you guys to show me the aorta, really black and white image, or how I want you guys to show me the gallbladder, really black and white, unless it's true bile in there or something like that. You know, I really, you know, so that's what I mean. Good contrast changes depending on what you're looking at. Okay. So as you adjust it, you'll see the small differences in the weak signals, and it's going to make a wide range of strong reflectors bright white.
How we can change the range of dynamic on the machine?
It's on the machine. It actually says compression. It's the second. You know how we got the keys on the touchpad? Yeah. On the bottom, the little turn. It's the second button on the second button from the right on the bottom that says compression. Okay. And also the one to the left of that, the third button from the right, it says grayscale mapping. So those are 2 ways just on the IU-22 you can change it. Again, like I said, if you're working on the GE logic, it actually comes in dynamic range itself. Okay, remember, there's no correct way in ultrasound world to cite or